Okay. So my plan for today is give you 15 minutes to take a look at the review sheet and see if you have anything that scares you the most. I will go over those questions and I'll also go over a few questions from the end. With my morning class, I went to about half of the review sheet. So with you, I'm going to go over the rest of the half. So you have the full review sheet review to watch, and I'm going to post both recordings on Brightspace later. Okay, so let me tell you what will be in the exam. The first thing, we have question number 1. I'm going to give you around 5-6 of these and ask you identify which of the graph represent function or not. Then for question number 2, I'm going to give 3 to 6 depending on my space. If I have space, I'm going to give you 6. If I don't have space, I'm going to give you 3. From question number 3, I'll ask you B. Let me make it a little bit bigger. From question number 4, there will be 2 questions. One will be from the rational, and one will be from the even root. My plan is to give you the harder one with the square inside. And for the rational, they both are same difficulty, same level of difficulty, so either one of them. Here, my plan is to give 3, just like this, but the graph will be different. 1 to 3, okay, depending on my space on the paper. You need to find the domain and the range. Oh, I didn't mention about the range, I forgot. So it's domain and range. How did I see that? Wow. Find the domain and the range of this graph. Let me actually fix it here in case if I forget it later. Find the domain and the range. So 2 things in interval notation. Then from question number 1 in section 8.12, 1 question from these 3. These are 3 scenarios. One has a real number slope, one has undefined slope, and one has 0 slope. I'm going to give one of the scenario. For question number 2, I'll give you a standard form and ask you to find slope, x-intercept, y-intercept, and graph it. For question number 3, I'm going to give you 2 of these, one for the parallel and one for the perpendicular, or one question with 2 parts. What is the slope of the parallel line and what's the slope of the perpendicular line? From question number 4, there will be 2, one with the x-axis and one with the y-axis. So from AB1, from BC1, CD1. And for this, you don't need to do any math. You just draw your x and y axis and then see what is happening here. And we are going to go over this today from question number 3. For 5, I'm going to give 1. Find the equation of the line when the slope is given and 1 point is given. For this exam, you can skip 6 and 7, but you have to know them for final. Question number 8, I'm going to give you, I'll give you 1 x value, find the y, and 1 y value will be given, find the x. So graph will be given, and then just like the quiz, when x is given, what's the y? When y is given, what's the x? We have 3 types of graph here. I'm going to give you one of these type and ask you to do everything, a reflection, a left-right movement, and up-down movement, and draw the original graph. So just like your quiz, there will be 5 points. And also there will be some multiple choice where you have the transformation is given, definitely one, and if you have space, then more than one. Transformation is given, you have to find the equation of the graph. Equation of the graph. Probably not. 1 point for finding the equation of the original one, and other point for the transformation. For here, I'm going to test you with your negative sign. And then this question I already mentioned in which question? 3B. So 3B and this question number 2, they're almost same. So I'm going to give one of them. Now from 10.2, from question number 3, I'll give you at least one. So it could be one or more than one. But from 4, I'll give you only one. From 4, only one, but from 3, I may give you more than one, but definitely one. From question number 5, there will be one from AB. You multiply and simplify. And there will be at least one from CDE. At least one, okay? Again, if I have space, then I'll give you more than one. I would like to give you 2, one with this scenario where you don't need any math. Not math, why you don't need FOIL, just use difference of perfect squares, and one use FOILing to simplify. That's my goal, but it depends on my paper. And then after doing all of the things I told you will be in the exam, then if I have a space left, then my plan is to give you at least 30 questions with 30 points on your exponent rules. Okay, so you definitely should know all these rules. And I put them together for you. All you have to do is print them and look at them every single day. And I'm not going to ask you what's the division rule, what's the multiplication rule. Instead, I'm going to give you a question like, if we have 2/5 to the negative 2 power, simplify that. So what is that? It's 5/2 with the positive 2 power, right? You flip the fraction, the negative turn into positive. And then you do 5 squared, 25, 2 squared, 4. So this is what you have to do. No hard math, it's just exponent rules. Or for 0, maybe I can tell you what is 2x to the power 0. What is 2 times x to the power 0? I can tell you what is negative 1 to the power 20. What is negative 1 to the power 1/6? So what is anything not 0 to the power 0? 1. And if you have 2 times x to the 0, 2 times 1, because this is 1, and it's 2 times that 1, so answer is 2 here, not 1. And then negative 1, if you have even many times, what do you have? This is a rule. Negative 1, if you have even many integers, it becomes positive 1. And if you have even fraction, what do you get? It doesn't exist. So see, I'm not testing you with the exact same thing. I'm going to give you an example for that exponent rule, and you have to tell me what's the answer based on the exponent rule. Janelle?
2 questions. There's no calculator.
No calculator.
Finish like the exam.
But as you see, the exam will be longer. So don't expect to leave in half an hour. Also, Thursday there will be rain. The entire day it will rain. So try to come early, don't be late. Friday. Yeah. Sorry, my bad. Friday. And yeah, Thursday, Friday. Oh, Friday I didn't see the weather. I saw Wednesday and Thursday. So Friday I didn't check my bad. But yeah, Thursday we have rain and Wednesday. And I hate rain. Uh, any question before we start? Actually, I'm not going to start now. I'm going to give you 10 minutes to take a look at the review sheet and figure out which question you think is hardest. And then try as many as you can in 10 minutes. And after 10 minutes, I'll start the review from this question. 8.12, question number 3. So I'm going to start this. We are going to do these 2 pages. With my morning class, I did the first page and question 1, 2. Okay. Let me take a break. It's our prayer time. I'm going to pray. I'll be back. To do as many questions as you can and at least take a look and see which one looks bad. Tell me about those questions and we'll go about those. only increases. Let me take the attendance before I start the review. Today is 9:16. Ashley, Jelisa, Michael, Lady, Lola, Jonathan, Reina, Ali, Denisa, Samantha, Nicole, Andy, Priya, Caitlin, Andrew, George, Mariana, Danielle, Fatamata, Azmain, Shuing, Chloe, Ethan, Kathleen, Brennan, Rahim, Shahana, absent, Leonardo, Brian R, Brian V, Gian, Alex, Anastasia, still absent. So starting from 8.1, 8.2, question number 3. Find the slope of the line parallel and perpendicular to this given slope. So do you remember how do you start this question? Parallel lines have what type of slope? Same slope. And perpendicular lines have what type of slope? Negative reciprocal. It means the sign will be opposite and you have to flip your fraction. So that means first you need to know what's the slope of this line. How do you find the slope of this line? Two ways you can find. One is solve for y. So if you solve for y, how do you solve for y? So we get 6y is negative 7x plus 11. And then divide by 6, everything. So we have y equals negative 7 over 6x plus 11 over 6. So whatever we have here, that's the slope of this line. So what would be the slope of its parallel line? Same thing, negative 7 over 6. And what would be the slope of its perpendicular line? Positive 6 over 7. So you change the sign and you flip the fraction. So anytime they ask you to find the slope of a line in standard form, you can solve for x. Sorry, you can solve for y. Or there is another method to find the slope easily. You just have to remember the slope is negative a over b. If you can remember that, you don't have to do all this work. You can directly find the slope. So using this method, can you tell me what would be the slope of this line? Negative a over b. So we have a negative. What is a in this equation? 5. And how much is the b here? Negative 8. So what's the slope of this line? 5 over 8. So what would be the slope of the parallel line? Huh? Both. And perpendicular line? Negative 8 over 5. So whatever line is given, first find that slope. And then based on that, you find the other two slopes. Any question? Now the next two looks small. I have small font, but let me read it out for you. Find the slope of the line parallel to the x-axis, and it goes to the point 2, negative 3. So x-axis, how do you draw your x-axis? Horizontal. So the slope of the line parallel to the x-axis. What type of line will be parallel to the x-axis? Another horizontal line. So what's the slope of any horizontal line? Slope. 0. If they ask you for the equation, it will be y equals the y value of the point. So this is the equation and this is the slope. Usually the final exam does for slope. Yes, that's why I'm going to give you 2 of these. Or do you want 4 of these? 4 of these actually better, right? You don't have to do any math, just draw it x-axis or y-axis and it's parallel or perpendicular line.
Are you going to give us like a graph for any question that you ask the graph that we got to go?
I will give you the graph, the grid. The next one says the same thing, but now this time find the slope of the perpendicular line, slope of the line perpendicular to the x-axis. So if this is your x-axis, how are you going to draw the perpendicular line? Vertically. So what's the slope of any vertical line? Undefined. It doesn't exist. So that's all you have to tell me, undefined. Not 0. 0 is a number, it does exist. Undefined when a slope doesn't exist. And if they ask you for the equation, it will be x equals the x value of the number of the x value for the equation. But I'm not going to ask you the equation. I'm going to ask you only for the slope. The next one says parallel to the y-axis. So how do we draw y-axis? Vertical. So how are you going to draw its parallel line? Another vertical line. So what's the slope of any vertical line? Undefined. The last one is asking the same thing, but this time perpendicular to the y-axis. So again, you draw your y-axis. And what type of line we have perpendicular to the y-axis? Horizontal. So what's the slope of any horizontal line? 0. Is there anybody who needs more help understanding these scenarios? Because now I decided to give you 4 of them. So if you don't understand what's going on, you will be in trouble. Any question? Anything? No? Okay. So expect to see 4 of these. And show me your work. Okay, like the way I draw 2 horizontal line or 2 vertical line. Show me what you did. Otherwise, how do I know whether you copied from your neighbors? Okay. You have so many neighbors around you. Okay, the next one says find the equation of the line in standard form which has slope -1/2 and it goes through a point x1, y1, 5, 6. So we need to find the equation of the line. Y minus y1 equals slope times x minus x1. And in this scenario, you cannot have any fraction and it cannot have negative x. I'm going to state that for you in the exam. No negative x and no fraction. Okay, so the final result has to have all integers coefficient, and x has to be positive. Y can be negative, but x has to be positive. So do you remember how to find the equation of the line?
So y minus
6 equals
negative 1 half.
-1/2 x minus 5. And then you have so many options. You can distribute your -1/2, or since 1/2 has a fraction, but the requirement says no fraction, you can simply get rid of the fraction.
And then make it 0.5.
0.5 is not an integer. The final coefficients has to be integers. So how can I get rid of the fraction 2? Multiply by whole number 2 on both sides. So fraction cancel out, one requirement fulfilled, no fraction. And now you're going to distribute. We have 2y minus 12. And because of the negative, this sign will change. So negative x, positive 5. But it says no negative x. So our first requirement says add x to both sides because there is no negative x. So first requirement fulfilled. You have x plus 2y or minus 2y? Plus 2y. When you don't have any sign, you have a plus sign here. Minus 12 equals 5. But it says x and y should be together, and a constant should be on the other side. So now I need to add the 12. So x plus 2y equals, and now we satisfied all conditions.
Multiply by 2 at the end.
You can.
Yeah.
You can distribute the fraction. So you get 1/2 x, and then
17.
you multiply everything by 2, so no fraction. Yes, you can find y equals mx plus b. So find the b, and then actually you're not looking for b here. You're looking for ax, by, and c. So yes, there are other ways of doing it, but at the end, the requirement says x and y should be together on one side. So you can use y equals mx plus b, but then you have to bring your mx next to the y. So it should be, actually you need to subtract y and bring b to the other side. So x minus y equals, no, mx minus y equals b. This is another format. So you can find what is your b. And then you substitute b here. You can find your slope. No, slope is given. You need to find your y. Okay. You need to find your b in order to place it here. I said ignore the equation of the parallel and perpendicular line. So you don't need to find them. But I'll give you a graph. And then I'll ask you 2 questions. When x is given, how do you find the y? And when y is given, how to find the x? So for example, 1 from AB. Let's say you are doing B. It says find g of 0. What is given here? The x value or the y value? X. So they're telling us our x is 0. What's the y when x is 0? Here at the origin, we have 0. Now 1 will be from C and D. Let's say D. This says find all the x, so the g of x is 0. Sorry, g of x is 3. What is this 3? X or y? Y. So y is 3. When y is 3, what x value you see? What x values you see? It definitely, so 3 is here. When y is 3, not 1, right? What is x value when y is 3? Here is one of them, -3. And here is another one of them, which is 5. So when y is given, draw your y line and then see how many intersections you have in the graph for that y. You have to count all those x values. For example, in C, it says y is 0. See. When y is 0, how many x's do you have? Y 0 is here, right? On the x-axis. So how many x value you see here? One of them is here, -4. One of them is here, 0. And you see another one is here, 3. So basically it's saying that how many times you're crossing your x-axis? We are crossing 3 times, so we have 3 x values. Question? Okay, so I'll give you one of these transformation, just like your quiz. We learned 4 shapes, and here I omitted one. You don't have to know your, which one I omitted? I omitted cube root, no, cube and square. So I tested you on square, and I'm going to give you cube in multiple choice. And for the 3, you have to know their shapes, and one of the shape I'll ask you. That's a surprise. What is the shape for absolute value? V. At the origin. What's the shape of square root? Parabola is x squared. It's increasing, but slowly. This is square root. This is absolute value. And lastly, you have cubic function. What's the cube function? Oh, man. Down, left, upright. Cube. And now based on the transformation, you're just going to move them around. In the first transformation, what does negative means? Reflection, so flip it. And then what do you do with this flipped V? Which direction you go? No. Remember, when you go inside your heart, when you have someone inside your heart, they don't listen to you. So it's left, right, opposite. So you have -2, it should go on the left side. But where do you go? Right side. Remember this, our heart is inside left arm and right arm. So it's inside your heart. You can only go left or right. Okay? And the single number, which direction? Up. So you take your upside down V, go 1, 2 right, and 1, 2, 3 up. And then you draw the new one. Make sure, show me your steps. If you don't show me your steps, I'm going to take off points. No. The parent and the final version. But make sure the WAP. Just don't give me somewhere here and then tell me, oh, this is my transformation. How many units you go? How do I know? So to show me. And also you have to draw the original graph on one plane, on the same plane, only one XY plane, not 4 XY plane. Someone in the quiz, they draw 5 XY plane. One is for the original one is for the transfer, the reflection, one is for the left, right, one is for the up, down. So if you do that, I'm going to give you 0. Transformation means look at the original one and on the same plane, see where you are moving that original one to other place. Okay, on the same plane. So you should have only one XY plane, but 2 graphs, one the original one and one the final version. Okay, so you know how to go up, down, left, right, right? So all you have to do is just move, shift around your shape. That's it. This one is same thing, but reverse direction. So what's the first one? Cubic, y equals x cubed. And what is the transformation for inside or outside? So y equals x plus or minus? It's minus 2 and then cube. So left, right means inside your heart. So inside your parentheses. How about this one? 1, 2, 3, 4. What's the transformation here? Cubic, inside or outside? How many units? Plus 4 or minus 4? Minus 4. And now we have here and here. So what's the original one here? This is the shape. Negative x cubed is the left, and the right one, y equals what? X cubed plus 2. So you are taking this original graph and moving 1, 2 units and drawing here. So you're moving only up, down. So after function, you have this. But guess what? In the exam, I'm not going to give you a single left, right, or single up, down. I'm going to give you a combination. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. What's the equation of this graph? Y equals negative x minus 2 cube. Don't forget your original function. And then plus 3. So you have to see which direction you're going. Left, right goes inside, opposite direction. And then up, down goes outside after your Q function. Ali.
See y equals negative x cubed.
Here you had only up-down transformation, only up transformation. So your original graph shifted 2 units up.
Okay, that makes sense.
But here the original graph shifted left, right, and then up, down. So you have 2 transformations.
I thought it also went left to.
It did not because
It's not,
your
but it just looks minor. Thank you.
No problem. So definitely one of these, but multiple parts, like 1 point for the original graph and 1 point for your other transformation. Okay. Oops. Now I'm going to test your knowledge about having a parenthesis or not having a parenthesis on the base. If you don't have anything, what is 4 squared? Only 16. Perfect. And now you have a negative 4 squared. So it's negative times 4 squared. So it's negative times 16. And the last one, positive because it's negative 4 times negative 4. So it's positive 16. So not having a parenthesis means negative is a multiplication, and having a parenthesis means the whole inside the parenthesis you're multiplying. The next one, It says find f of 4 plus h minus f of 4. And they gave us f of x.
Are you plugging 4 plus h into the
4 plus h. So you keep your original shape, but instead of x, you write 4 plus h square inside the parentheses. And now do you distribute the power?
No, I did FOIL.
We cannot distribute the power. Distribution power happens only for multiplication and division. Like if you have 4h square, you can distribute, you get 16h square. Or if you have 4 over h square, you distribute, you get 16 over h square. So only when you have multiplication or division, then you can distribute the power. But for addition or subtraction, there is no distribution. We have to do FOIL. 4 plus h times 4 plus h minus 2. And then when you do FOIL, what do you get at the end? 8h plus h squared. And then you're subtracting 2. But then you have like terms. So what do you get at the end? 14 plus 8h plus h squared. So this is your first term here. And now they want you to subtract the second term. But before subtracting the second term, you have to find what is the second term. You're looking for f of 4. So you do the same thing, x squared minus 2. Instead of writing x, you write 4 squared minus 2. So what do you get? 16 minus 2, that gives us 14. So we found our first term, we found our second term, and now we can combine them with a minus. We have 4 plus h minus f of 4. This thing is here. So we get 14 plus 8h plus h squared. We are subtracting our second piece here, which is 14. And then what do you observe? They cancel out. So you have h squared plus 8h. You can write 8h plus h squared, it doesn't matter. Ali? So when you multiply 4 times 4, 16, 4 times 8, 4h. And then 4 times 8, 4h. And 8 times 8, h squared, right? So this 4h and this 4h, how many h you total? 8h. So that's how you do 8h. In your case, when you do the FOIL, do it step by step. Here we did mentally. Any other question from anyone? Okay, let's see. So my plan is to give you at least one, but if I have space, I'm going to give you more than one. Let me pick something like double negative. We have negative 8 on the base and negative 2/3 on the power. So what is our goal? Do you remember our goal? Our goal is to cancel this denominator. So how can you rewrite this negative 8 so that you can cancel the 3 power? What numbers to the power? We're going to change it to fraction later. First, you're working with the base. So what number when you multiply 3 times turn into negative 8? Only 2? Negative 2. Negative 2, negative 2, negative 2 gives us negative 8. So it's negative 2 whole thing to the 3 power. So why did we use 3 power? Why we didn't use 2 power? Because we want to cancel the denominator. So what is left on the base? Inside the parentheses. And what is left outside? -2. And now we hate this -2 power. So how can you change this -2 power into +2 power? We cannot cancel because one is base, one is power. Reciprocal. So we turn this into a fraction. 1 over the -2 with the +2. If you have a whole number with a negative power, make it fraction, the negative power disappear. And now you see you have -2 twice. So what do you have? 1 over +4. If you don't have a negative power, the answer will be only 4. But since you have a negative power, the answer is 1 over 4, a fraction. Negative will give you a fraction result, and no negative power will give you a whole number result. But there is also another scenario, like this one. You have -16 1/2. So what is our goal? We want to write same number twice, right? And turn into -16. Can you find such number? You multiply the same number twice, it will become -16. -8 times -8 is +64. 4 times 4 is +16. -4 times -4 is +16. So can you think of a number, multiply the same number twice, the answer is -16. Not possible. For cube, possible, but for square or 4 or 6, not possible. So if something is not possible, how do we express that? Does not exist. DNA. So see, we have a -8 here on the base, but it does exist. We have -16 on the base, but it doesn't exist. So how do you know why it exists and why it doesn't exist? When the denominator is odd, it exists. When the denominator is even, it doesn't exist. Because even number, you cannot multiply any number even times and it turns into negative. It's impossible. Okay, so at least 2, okay? Because here I mentioned 2 scenarios. At least 2. And then one of these scenarios, you have a combination of positive and negative. Does any of this look scary to you? First one? Okay. We have 4x to the -3 whole thing to the power +3, and we are dividing by 6x to the -4 whole thing to the power -2. So now numerator and denominator, they have the individual powers. What is our first step? Distribute. So we do 4 to the -3, x to the -3 with the 3, sorry, +3, my bad. On the denominator, 6 gets -2, and x to the -4 gets -2. So you distribute the power individually on the numerator and denominator. Now 4 to the +3 means 4 times 4 times 4, 64. Exponent rules, you have 2 powers together. What do you do? Add or multiply? Multiply. Ali, you need to review exponent rules. You're otherwise going to miss, I didn't tell you about 30 questions. I did, right? Yeah. 30 questions. You're going to miss 30 points if you don't review your exponent rules. So what do you have? X to the how much? -9. And the denominator x to the positive 8. Negative 4 times negative 2 will give you positive 8. And now we have 6 with a negative 2 power. Don't assume it's negative 36. It's definitely not negative 36. Hmm? Oh, I don't have a negative on the denominator. So it's my bad. It's 4 times negative 2, so it's negative 8. But maybe in the answer, I'm going to give one of them positive, one of them negative. Yeah. It will be a test for you guys. Okay, so what did I tell you not to do until to do something? Do you remember? Don't do anything until what? Huh? You did distribute. Good. And then? Exactly. Anything has negative power, do not touch them because your goal is to fast switch them around. So you have a negative people in your life, don't hang out with them until they convert into positive person. Okay? So kick them out from your life. They will value you. They will realize your value. They will turn into a positive person. Do the same thing here. X is a negative power, kick it out from the top. It goes on the bottom. Negative 8 is on the bottom, move it up. And then 6 is the negative power, move it up. Any negative you see, switch them around. So you get 64, that doesn't have any problem. That's the only positive thing we have in our life in this question. The rest, x to the 8. Oh, before x to the 8, I have 6 square. And then x to the 8. On the bottom, x to the 9. So how do you combine x to the 8 and x to the 9? We subtract, but what minus what? 8 minus 9 or 9 minus 8? Anytime you have something bigger, you keep that position. So it's 9 minus 8. And then you have 6 square. And you're multiplying 64 manually without using calculator. Do you remember your multiplication? 6 times 4, 24. Two numbers cannot go together. 4 on the bottom, 2 on the top as an addition. And then 4 times 3 plus that 2, 14. And now the first digit is gone, so you have to leave a space blank for the second digit. If second digit is 6, so it is the same process. 36 two numbers, you cannot write them. 6 on the bottom, 3 on the top as an addition. And then 6 times 3 plus that 3, 18, 19, 20, 21. And then you add all of them together. 4 and 0 gives you 4. So 4, 6, 10, again, problem. So 0 on the bottom, 1 on the top is an addition. We have 3 and then 2. So 2, 3, 2304 over x. That's our final answer. One question. Any question on this question? Any question on this question? Any question on this problem? No? Okay, next we have multiplication. Both of them are same process, same everything. So pick one. First one. Let's pick the second one because I remember you guys seen 18 and all of you are asking me, what do you do with 18? It's 3 times 6, but we don't have the same thing 3 times. Do you remember doing that in class? Exactly. We have B. So 3 times 18 under 1 cubic root, and x to the 7 times x to the 9 under another cubic root. And then don't multiply 3 and 18. You're going to waste your time. Instead, split them. 3 is 1 and 3. What is 18? 3 and 6. Our goal is to see one number how many times? 3 times because cube root. Do you see the same number 3 times? That means more splitting. 3 and 2. Now do you see the same number 3 times? Which one? So you put them together. 3 times. And what is left then if you take your 3 threes? 2 and 1, you multiply them, you get 2. And then you put them inside house. They get the individual house. What happens to the first one? Cube root, cube power. They kill one another because they're enemies of one another. So we have 3 that becomes the adult, free, without any supervision. But the 2 is still a kid. So it has to stay inside the house. And then we go to the variable. In multiplication, how do you combine powers? Add them. So what powers we get? 16. And then how do we rewrite radical and exponent at the same time? Do you remember? What over what? 16 over 3. And then you divide. 3 goes to 16 at least how many times? 5. And then how much remainder we have? 1. Since we have a remainder, that means we have a child inside the house. Okay. So each one gets their own base. X to the 5, x to the 1. X to the 5, it becomes free and adult, but the remainder goes back inside the house. And now for each case, number and variable, you have something free, something not free. What do you do in your last step? Combine them. You let that adults talk with adults and children play with each other. So you have 2 and x, 2 children, they play with each other inside the house, and 3 and x to the 5, they're adults, they're talking in the living room outside the children house, the children room. Okay. Any question? No? Okay then. We have a multiplication, same thing, but this time we are going to have binomial by binomial. No more monomials. On the left page, we multiplied 2 monomials, and now we are multiplying 2 binomials. Do you remember how to multiply binomials? Well, so which one you want me to do, C or D? See? They both have the same format, same everything. Okay, let's just see. We have 4 square root of 2. So we take 4 square root of 2 and we multiply the second binomial. So 3 square root of 2 minus 4. And then you take your 7 and multiply the binomial again. 3 square root of 2 minus 4. So one monomial from your left binomial and multiply the entire binomial on the right side. And then you do the normal thingy, distribution. 4 root 2 times 3 root 2. So you multiply number with the number and then children with the children. So 4 times 3, 12. And this time we see they have the same children twice. So it's 4, or you can write 2 square. You can write 4, but you can also write 2 square because you have the same children twice. And then you multiply the other one. You have a negative 4 times 4, And what is the children? 2. Now you go to the next house. You are multiplying 7 with 3 root 2. You get plus 21 and the children. And lastly, no more children. They're young. Oh, we don't have to do that. That's 28. Positive or negative? Negative 28. So in the first house, we have square, root, and square. So no more children. What do you get now? 24. And now these two houses, they have children and adults. So what do you do? Add them. So you have negative 16, positive 21. Positive or negative? Positive 5 with the children. And lastly, no children. And now you combine these two because they're like term. Negative 4 plus 5 root 2. Or if you want, you can write 5 root 2 minus 4. You have negative 16 and positive 21. And you keep your children with you. Any other question? Now I'd like to give you one of these. Why didn't have to do FOIL? Why we didn't have to do FOIL here? Difference of perfect squares. You have the exact same two numbers on the first position and exact same two numbers, exact same number on the second position. So same first position, same second position. And you have 1 plus 1 minus between them. Do you remember what do you call this type of thinking? Start with a C. Start with a kan. Good job. Conjugates. We have a conjugate pairs. So that means we don't need to do binomial. It just take the first position and your second position. And what do? Square each one of them. And then you have to put something between them. Minus. It's called difference of perfect squares. Difference means minus. So to minus the first position square, then you have to subtract the second position square from the first position square. And now we have 5 times square root of 19. So we can distribute the power here. Because between them we have invisible multiplication. In multiplication we distribute the power. So what is 5 square? 25. And what is square root of 19 square? Only 19 because the square cancel out. Well, let me just write it out in case if you cannot visualize. You have 5 square, square root of 19 square. And what is 1 square? 1. So you see it's 25 times 19 because the radical and square kill one another. And now you have to do the multiplication manually again. So whatever you have, that's the answer. Okay. You really have to multiply manually. Okay. And now about the radicals, not radicals, sorry, exponents. Remember, I'm going to ask at least 30 questions in the exponent. So you must know every rule very carefully. Know them correctly. Okay? Huh? For example, what is x to the 5 times x to the 25? So what do you get? X to the 30. And if you have x to the 5 and then 25 together. Now what do you have? Only 100? 125. So see the difference? If you're multiplying the bases, it's the 30 because you're adding 25 plus 5. But if you only one base, more powers, it's multiplication. Okay? So to know your rules. And also I showed you some before, right? Okay. If I tell you find negative 16 to the 1/2 power. Here, negative 16 to the 1/2 power. It doesn't exist because 2 negative cannot have even base. Doesn't exist. Okay, but if I tell you positive 16 to the 1/2 power, now what does that mean? Whole. Because this is simply square root of 16, which is 4. And this doesn't exist because it is square root of negative 16. We cannot know how to do that.
This has to be positive. Otherwise,
base has to be positive if your denominator is even. It's possible. So with my morning class, guys, I went over the first portion of the review sheet, starting from the very first page. Okay, I went over all of these questions. We did everything together, not everything, most of them. We did together. We talked about domain, range, slope, graphing, and everything. And with you guys, I started from here. So if you want to see the recording from the first part, just watch the recording from my morning class. And where I'm putting all those recordings? On Brightspace or YouTube, okay? So good luck, study smart, don't be late. And definitely don't be absent. There is no makeup. Have a good day. Bye.